Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Shoot the Defense. I'm Stel. I've got Steve, Rod, Sag. The gang is back. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Hello, Stel. Good evening, mate.
How you doing,
Yeah, all
Steve?
good, thanks, Stel. All good,
Okay.
thank you.
Lovely. Rod, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not 40 points down in FPL already.
We've solved the problem, so we're happy.
Oh, you've done some troubleshooting. You called the support line.
I realise I can't make 5 to 6 changes a week, so I can make maybe one.
Roddy called the support line FPL. Guys, I got a problem. Why I got 80 points this week? Why am I only on 40? It's because you made 12 substitutions, my friend.
Like, what? I'm not -9 points. What the fuck?
Well, look, you learn from your mistakes. It's taking you 2 years, 3.
Yeah. We'll sort it out now. At least I got it now, right at the start. Catch up, no problem.
There you go. And Saj is going to join our little mix. So, yeah.
Yeah, beware.
Yeah, you're only 27 behind.
Talk.
You might as well start now, yeah.
2 games into the season, fighting talk. I love it. Right, gentlemen, where shall we begin? Because this episode is actually called Is Ollie at the Wheel Again? Because as people might know, Man United lost 2-0 at Spurs. I'm going to start with you, Rod. Terrible performance against Wolves. And we thought that United might step it up against Tottenham. But it was Ange that did the job. Talk to me.
No, fully deserved as well. First time I've ever seen a Tottenham team bully a United team, really. Outplay them, outwork them. It just doesn't look good at the minute if we go through the team. And I know it looks solid, probably an improvement. Wan-Bissaka, he's getting better. Varane, steady if he's not injured. Martinez is not the same. Shaw, I don't know what he's doing. Left back for one of the goals for him and Garnacho. Garnacho can sprint forward but can jog back. That doesn't work for me. And why was your left back to stay in your box? Your job's to stop crosses, mate. So get out there and stop it. You just stood there and just didn't do anything. Too late. Midfield looked lost. Just 2 rabbits running about and an old man at the back looked like. Just running about, just absolutely getting outrun by Wolves, and James Maddison running the show against all 3 of them and making them all look silly. And then you've got Marcus Rashford, just terrible player at the minute. Can't trap a ball of cement. Looks like a baby when he's not playing it in his position. Struts about like he's Ronaldo when he's not. Anthony, one-trick pony. And who else? He's a young player, so they looked off since they've come back. The jet lagged, I don't know, but other teams have been away. Chelsea didn't look jet lagged on Sunday, even though they got beat, but full of energy. So it's worrying. It's that midfield. If they don't sort that out, they've got no chance. Absolutely no chance. And it's clearly didn't want to play McTominay. He just left him on the bench. Made 5 subs, so he wants rid of him and wants to bring someone in. So does McTominay just want to sit there and sit on the bench, or does he want out? So he's got to force a move, I fear. But it don't look good at the minute.
Is Ten Hag losing his grip, you reckon, Rod? Because, obviously Harry Maguire has actually stood his ground and he's not leaving. McTominay doesn't want to go. I don't know.
Causing more problems, mate. You've got upstairs that we'll probably touch on this Mason Greenwood stuff later. Why has it took 6 months? Why has he not had a plan in place for if this happens, this happens? Just like it's run by a bunch of amateurs. This is one of the biggest clubs in the world. They should have it prepared for all outcomes. Instead, they're just going on the fly. It looks like it's just tin pot, and then you've got the signings. You bought a player in. He's fucking injured. It's the most important player that we needed for the last 3 years. 3 years, and we go back to Martial. Come on, it's He's not getting helped. But he needs to get someone in for that midfield. But I still think he needs time. I think, but the Wolves are closing in. He needs to sort it out because there's teams that look a lot stronger. Chelsea, yes, they're work in progress, but they're full of energy yesterday and young. Once the guys get forward, they'll be a force. Arsenal again grinded out an hard result against a difficult place to go. Crystal Palace, it's always a difficult place to go there, and they've got a young team full of energy. So it's a good result there. So they'll be up there. And Tottenham, they look a different outfit. They bring a centre forward in. We're looking at Newcastle. They look decent. Liverpool. So out of all them teams, we're behind all them teams at the minute. What I've seen in the last 2 games.
Saj, when you look at United's first game against Wolves, you could think, all right, first game of the season, they're not going to be firing on all cylinders. But then you see that performance against Spurs. And at what point do you think this guy's team selection is a little bit funny because he went with the same lineup as the Wolves game, didn't make any tactical changes, same system, same players. Pretty much, okay, United won the first game, but okay, the Wolves had their fair share of opportunities and it's almost as if Spurs took their chances, whereas Wolves didn't. So where do you think the problem is? I look at, say, for example, Mason Mount in the middle of the park. Anonymous, completely anonymous. Garnacho has been terrible. Anthony, I saw him dribbling with his left foot, trying to cross the ball with his left foot, tackling with his left foot, doesn't know how to use his right foot. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think look, there seems to be dysfunction in the squad there. As Rod was saying, this dysfunction is kind of leaking from the top. You've got a lot of players there that don't want to be there, or are waiting for a massive payout. They may pay massive wages. You're not going to walk away from 5 million or something like that to leave. You're going to make sure you get all your money. So there's a lot of dysfunction there. I can only kind of bring it back to Arsenal, where they've paid off the players in the beginning, and now they're kind of not forcing players to leave, but no one's getting any payoffs anymore. So sometimes you need to take a hit to move forward, and I think that's what probably Manu got to do with certain players that he doesn't want in the squad or doesn't want around, because they can bring this harmony within the squad, and then at least the 2 performances that they've had on the pitch. I mean, if you look at the wingers, I only saw glimpses of both games, and Garnacho and Anthony are miles away from a traditional Manchester United winger. They're not even getting past the defender, let alone tracking back and doing the basics. Just giving 100%. So he's got a massive problem there, where he needs to get 100% out of all the players and have a plan in process to win different games.
For sure. And Steve, if you look at Tottenham, work rate, physicality, organisation, they were on a different planet against United. And Postecoglou's he's done a brilliant job already, given losing Harry Kane, hardly anything to spend in the summer. I think he's doing well so far, I think.
Yes, and obviously it feels like I would probably be reciting Jamie Carragher's words, but I said it 6-8 months ago on here about Casemiro. He was going to be great for the here and the now. And eventually, though, there's going to be no value to his play or his contract, the numbers of it or the length of it. And I do believe Tottenham have sized up in the middle of the pitch now. They've got enforcers in there that get the ball back for you and stop counter-attacks. Basuma looks like he'll grow really into the job now. City have got Rhodri. Liverpool have addressed it with, at least 2 signings to have those enforcers in the middle of the pitch. And I just don't think Manchester United start play from the middle of the pitch. I don't think they stop play from the middle of the pitch. And I don't think they intimidate in the middle of the pitch in any shape or form. And you're right what you say about, the Tottenham manager. I think he'll be quite... he won't be a threat to any of the top teams. So I think he'll be really popular this year. He might be able to take a result off the odd manager, but I don't think he'll threaten the top four. And I think he'll be a breath of fresh air to the Premier League with his personality. So, yeah, I agree with you with that. But, you know, Man United now, he's just spent 400 million, Ten Hag. And, you know, people are still suggesting that the Glazers are a problem, but there's 400 million have been spent. And if they're going to do the job properly, they're going to have to spend another 100 at least on a centre midfielder that the best teams have got.
Well, apparently they have to sell before they can buy. That's the tagline now. That's what people are saying.
Well, I think Rhodri was leaning towards almost saying it. Then, if that's the case, the first thing that happens is stagnation, and then the next thing that happens is the slide. It's the other teams just jump and just go past you, and they'll actually. I honestly think I'm expecting a miserable few months, because I think whilst this is happening, there's going to be 4 or 5 teams getting better.
Yeah, I think, again, you know, talk about transfers and stuff. I mean, that's not down to Ten Hag. That's down to the director of football and, you know, technical director bringing players in, balancing the books. It's been horrendous if you look at that point of view with the finances and not being able to bring in certain players and paying way over the odds for, you know, particularly last year for Anthony and probably Casemiro's probably not on his last legs. But, you know, again, what said earlier, that, you know, you only maybe get a season and a half out of him. Is he going to last that the full length of his contract?
Unless he goes to Saudi, you're not even going to get a transfer fee for him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, you know, you might as well flush that down the drain. That money that could have been spent on, you know, potential or someone more in their prime.
I have a question.
I think Rhodri's talking. Hang on.
Rod's on mute.
Sad said, the owners would have come in, the Qataris would have come in and bought it. Like Sad said, they would have took that hit and they would have bought a Harry Kane, would have bought a youngster. They would have probably bought both, but they would have sorted that midfield out. It's just, how long is it dragging on for? Yes, there's been money spent, but has it been spent well? I'm looking at the match Saturday and thinking, wait a minute, what's going on here? 40 million. 60 million, running about like an headless chicken, doesn't do anything in the game, and James Mannerton is running the show. What's going on here?
I mean, on the pitch stuff is obviously down to Ten Hag, but, you know, transfers and recruitment and stuff, I think he's obviously got some say, but that kind of responsibility is down to the director of football and the people in, you know, CEO and stuff like that. So,
Mason Mount might come good, right? But right now, he doesn't look like he should even be in the Premier League. And this is
I do rate Mason Mount, but, you know, if you send him on with no direction and you got no plan, then, you know, a great player can look average or even worse than how he's playing at the moment.
And how many of them top teams have you got in that position that are that immobile? It's just they've all got legs. They can all run about. Declan Rice, the 2 kids for Tottenham, tall, strong, quick. Newcastle, the players they've got, even they've got legs. Yeah, Chelsea, City, Rhodri. You just can't do it. He needs help. He needs someone next to him. When Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount next to him, they're too erratic. They're all over the show. And then when they break on us, it's just. And then Casemiro's gambling, and he's too slow. And they gamble, and then they're just in on us. And it's just every single time. It's just like schoolboy stuff.
Mate, yeah. I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get slaughtered, but I think Bruno Fernandes is a big problem. I think he's a big problem. You know, you mentioned him being erratic earlier.
Well, he shouldn't be captain. They shouldn't have made him captain.
No.
That's a poor decision whoever made him captain.
And that header from 6 yards out.
Whine and whinge and moaner. It's just... He would have been the same, whoever would have been captain, he'd acting the same. But you can't be captain acting like that all the time. Whinging, moaning, ball doesn't come to you, arms up in the air. It drives me fucking, I'd strangle him if he was on my team.
I don't think he's a fantastic player. And I think for people to be putting him on the same level as Kevin De Bruyne on social media, I think it's disgusting.
I just think
it's terrorism. It's terrorism.
No, his numbers are good. His assists and his goals are okay, but as the same players, they're not even the same
Yeah, but I think a lot of the players now just pad up their stats, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you can't pad up goals and stuff like that, or you can with penalties and stuff like that.
I need to find out statistically his best season for United, because I guarantee you, in my head right now, I'm thinking that his best season was during the bloody pandemic when there was no fans in the stadium.
Kevin De Bruyne has got teammates to go all around with him. It's in the big moments when he steps up. They're the big players in the big moments, and that's what Kevin De Bruyne does. Bruno Fernandes hasn't done that enough. Nowhere near enough. There's all solid players in City, but in the big moments, the big players step up, and that's what Kevin De Bruyne does.
1 minute. When was the pandemic? The COVID season was what, 2020, 2021, yeah?
Yeah.
That was his best season. 18 goals, 12 assists.
Yeah, it's all right when it's all right when there's no crowd in there and there's no pressure.
Well, that's when we went unbeaten for like 30 odd games away from home, wasn't it? There's no way, fans.
Anyway, let's move on. Credit to Spurs, good performance, fantastic victory. They fully deserved it. And if
no Harry Kane as well, so life goes on.
Exactly. There you go. Steve, 1-0 City against Newcastle. Big victory that. And I'll tell you what, Man City were very, very organised, man. Very organised.
I think they had to be. I think you've got hit the nail on the head there. Organised and a lot of concentration, because they were absolutely shattered. I don't know how much work went into Newcastle in preparation, but it can't have been much. We're still playing at 10 o'clock on Wednesday evening, winning a penalty shootout for the Super Cup, and then getting back from Athens. I know some supporters would say they get paid a lot for that privilege. They've got to deal with playing tired, and it's also why you would use a squad. But there was something about Guardiola at weekend where he was crying out for substitutes, but he let the tired players get on with it till full time. Obviously, there's loads of star players missing or have left. Gundogan, Mahrez, Laporte, De Bruyne. And I think he looks at his bench now and it's very young. Cole Palmer, Calvin Phillips, some lads you won't have even heard of. And I don't think he trusted them on the 1-0. Newcastle were very good. They would never go away. But for me, I think Guardiola celebrated like I've not seen him celebrate before at full time, a lap of the pitch. I think it was a message to the schedulers to say, you can keep trying to exhaust us, but we've just won a big 3 points. And he knew that the 1-0 win was going to be as big as any result this season, because I know we're going to have a good Champions League campaign, I suspect, with travel as well. But I don't think we'll play another Premier League game where we finished the last half hour as tired as we looked and we found a different way to win, hold on to the scoreline, not score again, although Haaland put about 4 past the post. And I think there's still a lot to look forward to this year because of Alvarez and Phil Foden, not in breakthrough seasons because they've already broke through. One's won a World Cup, but I think they're going to get a lot more game time and a lot more action, and I think you'll see loads from them too.
And I think you guys are signing Jeremy Doku, or you signed him?
He's in Manchester tonight, I think.
So he'll be a good signing.
Sorry, Stel. Yeah, I think it's the pace. I think it's the pace that's the attraction because we love passing the ball around the penalty area, and don't forget all these lads are fit and they can all sprint. But that direct pace where we can just, when the opposition is sick and absolutely got no spirit left, and he can just do it in one pass. I'm not sure we've had it for some time. When you think about Mahrez, Grealish, Bernardo Silva, the last direct pace was probably Leroy Sané. So to get some pace on the front line again makes us even better.
There you go. Saj, Newcastle started the season very well. First game, absolutely thrashing Villa. I don't think this defeat will hurt their confidence. In fact, I think it might actually even galvanise them. I saw them going to their fans at full time, giving them a round of applause and everything. But it just seems that they didn't really trouble City. Is that a concern?
No, because I think they had a lot of that. Like last season, they keep it solid at the back, don't they, and try and kind of break away for goals when they're playing against the so-called bigger clubs or clubs higher up the table. They try and keep it solid and not concede. We saw that last season when they played Arsenal. And obviously they're bringing the same kind of game plan in this season, probably trying to build on what they did last season. So it's not really much of a big surprise, but I'm sure they'll be kind of in and about the same position at the end of the season where they were last season.
Yep, True. Just a quick bit of news. I don't
They
know if
have
you guys
moments,
heard.
don't they? Right? They have little moments, Newcastle, and they've got to take their moments. When Carl Wilson broke through, it could have been like 2-on-1, I think it was, late in the second half, and they didn't take it. So
Yeah, and they've got Isaac I think he's a fantastic player. Fantastic player. He can do something special.
Harvey Barnes will be a good signing for them as well.
Yeah, direct.
Well, they've got variation, haven't they? Variation in both flanks. So yeah. But a bit of information. I don't know if you guys saw, but Mason Mount is out for 2 weeks. Apparently, he's missing the next 2 games.
I saw that.
Yeah. Perfect timing, isn't it? I think they're shielding him because his brother went out on social media to have a go. I thought his dad would do it, but his brother did it this time.
Didn't he walk out with a boot on, or was that James Madison?
Well, James Madison definitely did.
That was Madison, was it? No.
Yeah. Okay, Rod, Chelsea. You mentioned them earlier. They got walloped at West Ham, but look,
it wasn't a wallop. It wasn't a walloping, Stel. It was Chelsea. Yeah, no, it wasn't. West Ham deserved the win in the end, but Chelsea, they go 2-1 up, and it could have been easily a proper drubbing, but West Ham stuck in there and come away with a well-deserved 3-1 win. But Chelsea did look signs of good, but Brighton. If I was Brighton, I would be laughing my cock off because that Concedo was awful.
He gave away the penalty, didn't he?
He didn't look comfortable. It's a big sign, big club, young lad. So I'm sure he'll come good. But it was a tough game for him.
But at least you're seeing signs that Chelsea are, building something, not just with the players, but in terms of the style that Pochettino's trying to implement there. Something's not clicking for them, which is understandable. They've got loads of new players. But then there's a stark contrast to United. So
it's the same thing as United, though, Stel. Sorry to interrupt. You can't have all this, this stuff in front of you, and not have something up top to stick the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
It's imperative to have a centre forward, a top centre forward, to stick the ball in the back of the net, or it just keeps on coming back. Same with Rashford. He can't hold it up. So the ball's just going to keep coming back. And United just look predictable. Same with Chelsea in a way. You've got to have someone, even though that Jackson is mobile and did okay, he still didn't score when he had the chance to score. So, you need a centre forward to put the ball in the back of it. And that's what Chelsea do.
As Rhodri was saying, it's kind of the same thing as Man United, but they've got a different proposition where their players, they've bought lots of young players, and they can actually build. So they've probably got a brighter future than Man United at the moment. But, they're playing incredibly high wages there. And they've got a lot of players they need to balance the books with, again, with Man United.
Well, they're talking about Brennan Johnson possibly going to Chelsea. But Sean says here, nail on the head, Sean, because I was going to ask you guys, what about Big Rom? Why is he being cast out? What's going on with him?
Yeah, I don't know. He'd be a good fit for Tottenham.
I mean, there must be something behind the scenes, but when you do see him in the media, he does come across as a bit of a, prima donna. But that's
he seems like someone that doesn't like being shouted at. I don't think he would like being.
Yeah, I mean, centre forwards are generally like that, aren't they? A bit selfish and stuff like that. But
says the centre back.
There's probably something underlying there.
That's what I'm saying. There's something underlying there, So we're not privy to that information, but maybe he's gone in there and told them that he wants to leave, or he thinks he's bigger than what he is. So I don't know, but
is he still training there?
I don't know.
I presume so. I mean, did he play any pre-season games for them? No. Nothing. So he's got no match fitness. He's got nothing behind him to for him to start a game. But you just throw him on, he's automatically going to take 2 centre halves to attack, and then that's where you get the breakthrough in other positions.
Yeah. Well, let's see, because apparently he's been pining over a move to Juventus, but anyway.
Yeah.
Couple quick things. First of all, immediately, thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate it, mate. And there's a question here that might even interest Steve. He says, good evening, Stel and the rest of the guys. I was looking at the post prices for the winner of the Premier League, and City was €1.6. That was the odds. Can't remember any similar low price. Do you remember any prices that low?
No idea.
Yeah, not a gambling man either. I ain't got a clue.
It's like you put €1 down, you get 1.6 back. That's how.
Okay.
Much.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't really look at odds. Try to keep away from that.
There you go. Oh,
but that is incredibly low, though.
He's training with the under-21s, Lukaku. Okay.
Well, he must be a right prick. Why? I don't know why he gets treated so badly. United couldn't get him out quick enough either.
I mean, it must be something. Well, I hate to take typecast, but it must be something about the personality and what he brings to into the club.
Maybe it's just his crap rap skills. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. They just got fed up with it, really. Saj, I'm not going to ask you about Brighton being a former Crystal Palace player, but Steve, good victory for Brighton. 4-1 away at Wolves. That Mitoma, he's looking special, isn't he? Really?
Yes.
Is.
Yeah, and they don't keep surprising because I think we've accepted now. But they keep improving and impressing. And you just think every player sale, that'll just slow them down. That'll take something away from them, and then they've just got a conveyor belt of talent. Let's not forget as well. Whatever they're doing behind the scenes, they're getting the most out of Danny Welbeck than for some time in terms of playing time, minutes. Obviously, the same thing, and keeping him off the treatment table. I think he'll always like to go back on it. So the recruitment is getting a hell of a lot of credit. The way the team playing, but obviously I reserve the best compliment for the manager who appears to be going to be here for a long time as one of the best of his type.
Absolutely. Rod, Villa battered Everton 4-0. It was bad. It was really bad. I actually felt a little bit sorry for Everton, to be honest, for their fans more than anything. But
yeah, to touch on Brighton, the only way I see Brighton falling is if the manager goes to a bigger club, because at the minute he seems to be, whoever comes in, he seems to be doing a really, really good job, and just to not skip a beat and to keep playing the way they did to the end of last season is decent, and it's really good football as well. But yeah, Tottenham seem to be in trouble. So same thing with talking about Chelsea and United. They've got the same issue, but they're in the down there below. They need someone. Calvin Lewis out again, broken jaw, I think, or concussion, something along them lines. So they need to get in. I think they're talking to Shea Adams from Southampton, but will he get them out of trouble? They need someone who's going to stick the ball in the back of the net. Or I think. They're running out of lives, Everton. How many times are they going to get out of it?
Great phrase.
You think Sean Dyche is going to be, get them nice and solid, but you have to stick the ball in the back of the net. And Villa are going to be up there as well this year. They got a good spanking on the start of the season by Newcastle, but Villa will be a decent team this year. So, but Everton, they need to sort the striker out, or they're curtains for them. The only way they'll survive is the worse team than them, and they may be with Luton and Sheffield United, but they may be fighting that third spot.
Yeah, this is it. I think Everton are in big trouble. They haven't really invested this summer. Dyche is having to work with what he had with Lampard, and as good as Sean Dyche has done over the years at Burnley, Everton's a different level, man. No disrespect. It's a bigger club. Building a new bloody stadium. Can you imagine? They might have one of the best stadiums in the country in the Championship next season.
Good, big chance of that happening.
Yeah, they're atrocious.
It's scary, man.
Bad.
It's scary.
They look disjointed and like it all across the whole pitch.
Well, the thing is, who they even brought in? This is the thing. They've got Ashley Young. I think Ashley Young was the only new signing that played the weekend.
He had a nightmare, didn't he, Ashley Young? I mean, two of the goals were his fault. When you're recruiting a 38-year-old and you're trying to progress, there's probably a little bit of trouble there.
Ashley Young had a medical for Sean Dyche at Burnley, completely stripped. ready to go, agreed everything, 36 years of age, and then got a phone call from Aston Villa, presumably with a better contract, and said, no, I'm going there. Drove up the M6 and signed for Villa. And Sean Dyche thought he was getting an old player with experience at 36, and then actually does get him at 38. It's a year or two too many. There's no way Ashley Young can be at the level, despite him being a good professional. You can't. I don't believe you can play for the lower teams in the Premier League, age 38, and survive.
Yeah. Well,
You've
Sean
got
says
to look at Iwobi, James Garner. You know, just I think they'll struggle this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are rejects from other Premier League clubs, aren't they? Not quite made it into like the first team or being first team regulars, and like the next step is like Everton. That's what a lot of the players seem like.
Yeah. Well, Sean mentioned they signed a striker from Sporting, but he's meant to be challenging Calvert-Lewin and Neil Maupay. Maupay hasn't scored a goal since last September.
Well, that's a prime example, Neil Maupay. I mean, how many clubs do you have?
How much do they pay for him? How much do you pay for him?
I'll find out. You lot keep talking.
I'm sure it's like 12, some at 12.
Yeah, double digits. But that's what I mean. Like, just
that's your job. That's your job to score goals, and he's not scored for how long?
Since last September.
He's more on a wind-up thing, though, isn't he? When he comes on, he's more there to aggravate people and get the crowd going more than
12 million.
Yeah, 15, something like that. Yeah. So they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in big trouble. But Aston Villa look all right. They looked all right the other day. Looks like they got their defensive issues sorted. Pau Torres has come in, and obviously it's going to take them a bit of time to get used to the game with Mings out for the rest of the season. But
they got the guy back who they signed at the beginning of last season from was it Seville? Douglas Costa?
Oh yeah, Diego Carlos.
So he's back now as well. I mean, Douglas Carlos. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't think too much of him when they did sign him. He had a bit of a torrid, didn't he, over the COVID period where he gave away like 3 penalties, didn't he? And each of the games, stage games.
Yeah. So who do you guys think are in bigger trouble, Wolves or Everton?
Everton all day. I mean, Wolves look like they have played, don't they? Everton.
You only have to look at the Old Trafford performance from Wolves, even though they lost and didn't score. But Everton don't look like they've got that type of performance in them.
No. Everton looked terrible. I mean, just everything about them just looked like a team that's going to be struggling the whole season. Just got no kind of good times ahead.
Yeah, agree.
Well, things Everton kind of did what Man United did in terms of like a scattergun approach to signing players, and they were left with so much crap. It's unbelievable.
It's been like that. It's been like that.
No, what's happened to Signats and what? No, that's been dropped. That charge on it.
I don't think it was even a charge, was it? I think it was just someone tried to blackmail him and then he didn't didn't pay, and then he's kind of gone off. Off the scale.
You've got to get the recruitment right. Just look at Brighton at what they've done. It's difficult, but there are good players out there. But the recruitment they brought in, look who they brought in. Like we've just been talking about Maupay and just like James Garner, just not going to do anything.
I mean, it's not really that. Well, it's not really that difficult for the amount of resources that Premier League clubs to have a player profile. Look on Y-Scout or one of them, and be able to pick up a player that you think would be able to, narrow down the kind of players that you want in certain positions, and then go and do your due diligence and find out what the player's about to see whether he fits the ethos of the club. I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? But it seems like a lot of clubs just seem to be making a lot of the same mistakes and just buying names rather than buying, someone who fits the club's ethos and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, you're right. Gentlemen,
Tillemans, he was a free agent. You just mentioned Tillemans' name that popped up there. He was a free agent. Why are they not breaking the back end, getting them players? Instead, where's he gone? Villa.
Yeah.
Villa, yeah.
So they're the players that they should be getting, but instead they're going to to places like Villa.
But if
Sure.
you're Tillemans, where would you go? Aston Villa or Everton? I know where I'd go. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Arguably, Everton bigger club than Villa. I'm not sure.
You've got to think of your prospects going forward. One's going to be in the top 7, one's going to be in the bottom 4.
Going forward, you look at that brand new stadium on the sea. You know.
Yeah,
it's about where you finish in the league.
No, exactly. I understand that, but it's if to get it right on the pitch, no, it does look bright, but it doesn't look like that.
I mean, what would you categorise Everton in terms of attraction to other Premier League clubs?
No.
Are
they an attractive club to go to?
No.
Well, it's always going to be a third choice, isn't it? Second or third choice. It's never going to be a what play for Everton.
And that's why they end up paying big wages, and and then players just kind of mugging them off, half-hearted kind of stuff. We've seen it throughout probably the whole Premiership history, where they've just signed bad signing after bad signing. Probably just, I mean, how many good signings can you name from Everton that they've made, really?
Well, the managers they've been through in the last 5-6 years. From Ronald Koeman.
No stability.
No.
Well,
I still think Rooney will end up there, lads. I still think Rooney will end up there.
Manager, probably, yeah. He's just probably getting his a bit of experience working over there, isn't he?
Possibly. Well,
look,
in the Championship, got experience in there.
Since 2013, Everton have had 10 head coaches, albeit Unsworth was there twice as caretaker, but 10. It's staggering, really staggering.
And Duncan Ferguson,
really, they went downhill.
Yeah,
Duncan Ferguson, he was at Forest Green and said, "If Everton or Real Madrid come for me, I wouldn't leave." And now he's come back as kitman, has he?
And he said that while he was eating one of those vegan burgers as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No, plant-based.
Cuddling a ball boy.
Christ, hope he's not watching. Steve, Liverpool beat Bournemouth 3-1. It weren't easy though. It went a goal behind, but they fought back.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. Liverpool. I think they're only going to get better. They've improved the midfield. You've got to say Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold are still two of the best defenders, albeit Alexander-Arnold doesn't get noted for his defending, but the fact that he can play from the back and then join up in midfield, and obviously the strike force, it's probably not as it was or ever will be, but it's got goals in it, it's got excitement and pace in it, and they've probably got 5 players for 3 shirts where they can vary it about. They're going to be brilliant, and they're going to be in the top 4, I think. Even though they were happy with the point against Chelsea first game, I only expect them to get better.
How do you think you lot think Liverpool will do at the weekend? Obviously, they got Newcastle. 6 subs for Rod.
Yeah, tough game, isn't it? I think very tough game. How are they going to break them down? I mean, I do love Jota and Diaz on the wings. I think they're great players. And as was stated, that they got lots of options up front. So they've only got going up. I think in a lot better season than they did have previous.
Okay. Well, Saj, talk to me. Arsenal beat Crystal Palace 1-0. Penalty or no penalty?
Definitely penalty. Yeah, definitely.
In the build-up. What about the build-up? No,
I mean the ref was giving soft fouls, so it could have been a foul, but I don't think that was a foul. He's kind of dived on the floor. Was it? Who was it? Who was the one his party blocked off someone, didn't he? But
yeah,
that happens at corners all the time. So I don't think it was a foul. No way. I mean, Arsenal looked very comfortable throughout the game. They didn't really look like Crystal Palace were going to trouble them. I was quite happy with the performance. I mean, it's a slow burner with them. So we'll see how it goes, see how we move forward. But I was happy with the 10 men, how they kind of held firm, and probably Arteta made the subs at the right time to keep the ball. And they looked a lot more comfortable when the subs came on. No trouble at all.
Who have you got next? Who have Arsenal got next?
Fulham.
Playing
Fulham, is it? Yep.
Ah, Fulham. That's got to be 3 points, surely.
Yeah, I think they'll be quite comfortable against Fulham. Fulham are, especially Stel Mitrovic now. I mean, they've got the lad from Wolves up front now, so I think it's going to take time for them to bed in, to bed in, and try and can maintain the season that they had last season. So I think it's probably the right time to play them at the moment.
If you win that one, are you saying Arsenal going to win the league?
No, not at all. No, I'm not that foolish anymore. I mean, we need to wait till the end. But it's about getting a little run, getting a good run at the beginning, and then giving yourself a base to finish strongly, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, other results. Let's have a look. What other results were there? Fulham lost 3-0 against Brentford, which I'm guessing Sag is pretty happy, given that Fulham have got Arsenal at the weekend. And Forest beat Sheffield United 2-1. Happy days for Nottingham Forest. Boys, let's talk about this because we have to do it. Mason Greenwood. He's been shown the door by Manchester United, even though they said in their statement something along the lines of there's no evidence that he committed a crime. Listen, I don't know what you lot think about this whole situation. I just think United fucked up from day one, and they haven't even... It's almost as if they've tried too hard to sweep it under the carpet, but the carpet has got a bulge now. Do you know what I mean? What do you think?
It's terrible. Sorry, I'll let you guys talk because I know it's more to do with your clubs and stuff.
No, good man. No, go for it.
Well, I think it's terrible, to be fair. How can you be, judged by the public, and you've been kind of, acquitted by the courts? If this is the route we're going down, I don't know how many players are going to be, expelled or having to leave clubs for reasons that have not been found guilty in court. I think it's horrendous, and the kangaroo court. It's terrible. I mean, obviously the videos and what came out on social media were horrendous, but again, it's about rehabilitation. Has he rehabilitated himself? Has he been through that process? But even does he have to, make that public as well? I mean, there's so many questions there. It's been badly handled by Man U, and they've had no strategy and plan to kind of bring him back. It's been terrible.
And the funny thing is, right, I say funny, it's not funny, but he said he's been cleared of all charges, but they were dropped. What?
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, there's many examples of lots of players out there. I mean, for example, Joey Barton. I mean, how many times did he have misdemeanors with the court, and was welcomed back? So, I mean, there's got to be a balance, and there's got to be kind of rules in place that, can a player come back? Can a player be rehabilitated? We've had this previously with Mendes as well, where he's cleared of all charges, and now where's it gonna end?
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this, in all fairness, because the club have done what they can to kind of wash their hands of the whole situation, but also word it in a way that he doesn't look guilty, because if they do that, then people will be on their case saying, well, you've been protecting him for all this time. I don't know, Steve, is there some kind of protocol with clubs, do you know, for something like this? I mean, obviously it's a rare case that we know of anyway.
Yeah, I've no idea, none whatsoever, but we're still saying that Manchester United are the biggest club in Britain and one of the biggest clubs in the world. I'm sure they have explored absolutely everything, all the dynamics and logistics of is the juice worth the squeeze here? You know, is it, you know, progressive for us to go forward with this player to come back and wear the shirt for us again? You know, there must have been so many lawyers, you know, people willing, you know, advice. There won't have been a trick missed here, and he's gone. So we're living in a different world. It changes every year. We've seen it, you know, diversity, women's football, the rights of people. As you know, as Sag says, you know, courts, kangaroo courts. If Manchester United had thought it was actually, you know, percentage-wise better for him to be a Manchester United player, it'd still be there. They've clearly done their own work and worked out that the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Well, Man United's revenue for 2022 was $97 million. Now, if they brought back Mason Greenwood, which I think would have been the wrong decision anyway, so I'm glad that he's no longer at the club. Can you imagine how many sponsors would have said,
Well,
nope.
All that, they'll have worked it all out. They'll have worked it all out, and then, you know, including a football decision. Let's not forget that he's not trained with a group. He's possibly not kicked a ball for 2 years. You know what footballers are like when they've had a hamstring strain or they're coming back for pre-season and they've had 3 weeks out and they feel rusted. You're asking someone, you know, it's not like just getting back on a bike again. You've got to perform at the top of the Premier League. They actually probably didn't even think it was worth it from a football point of view.
Yeah, you're right. Rod, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It would have been interesting to see the outcome if he was white. If it was the same outcome, that would have been interesting. But yeah, it's just been handled poorly. He's been hung out to dry.
Yeah,
by his own fault, really. But he's been hung out to dry by his club. It should have been sorted this long time ago, and they've obviously put it to public opinion, and it's time to go.
Would the situation have been a bit different if Sir Alex was still head coach or manager?
This would have been done, dusted, boom, boom. It would have been sorted there and then. He was cutthroat, Stel. You know that. He was cutthroat. But if we had a relationship, say for instance, it was Ryan and the relationship, it was like a father-son relationship. Depends what kind of relationship he's got with him. And it depends. Remember, this guy was a proper talent. Left foot, right foot, would score goals from any position, free kicks, you name it. He was talked about £100 million player. Yes, he hasn't played for 2 years, but he's a special kid. He's a special talent, so I'm sure he would gain that again. But like Stez just said, it just wasn't worth it for him. So, you know, he's been hung out to dry. And, you know, hopefully he can get his career back on track somewhere else. But they could have used it as a positive. They could have used it as a positive and helped charities or gone a different way. But instead, they've gone and hung him out to dry. It's just not worth it for him. So, yeah. We move on?
Yeah. Again, yeah, no, I think it would be, can he go away and rebuild himself again, and then maybe, you know, get. Well, if I was him, I'd probably move abroad to probably rebuild. I think he'll struggle to get another English club. You need a couple of years, you need a couple of years away for it to kind of, you know, be fish and chip paper. Yesterday's news for him to be able to come back and perform in the Premier League again, I believe.
Time's a big healer. You bang a few goals in, but in 5 years' time down the line,
yeah,
we've seen it before. We've seen it before. You know, there's times. You know, Paul Gascoigne, people love it. You know, the stuff that he did with his ex-wife. So, and there's more examples that I won't go into, but you know, it's all down to him now. You know, I know he's married. He's with the girl. He's having a baby together. So
He's had it.
I think he's got a baby. Yeah,
he's a father now. Yeah.
Yes, well, it's not ended toxically. He's learned from it. His parents must think he's a good kid, because if it was my daughter, I'd want to kill him, and I would never mind go back with him. So,
Yeah.
no, he's a real good kid and out of character. So, just move on. It's unfortunate.
Well, the thing is, I'd be interested. Okay, obviously, it's ifs, buts, and maybes, and it's all hypothetical. But I know the Athletic did a really strong deep dive into the situation, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'll find the link. But they wrote a piece about it that United were actually thinking about bringing him back. But then,
why have they left it so long, Stel? They've exerted every option, like Stezza just said. They'd have gone through every nook and cranny, and then they've put it out, and they've leaked a little bit out to see what the public opinion is. And a few Rachel Rileys later, he's down the road.
Yeah, I think the problem is they leaked. Well, they made a statement last week which indicated that they'd kind of be bringing him back, and they probably looked at the kind of kickback from that, and probably again, well, as he said, it's not worth the juice is not worth the squeeze. Yeah. So again, he sponsored by Nike before? Obviously, Nike are one of the major sponsors. At Man United, he was, as soon as the court case came up, Nike got rid of him. So again, was that a major player in it as well? Him wearing a Nike kit? Do they want to be associated with it? I mean, there's many factors behind it.
United Adidas now.
Oh, yeah. My bad. Sorry, totally. Yeah.
You've been watching the big match revisited.
Adidas, they're one of the big sponsors. They may well have contacted someone at United and said, we're not happy with this.
Yeah, my bad.
A lot of the big sponsors might have got in touch with them and said,
cool. Yeah,
we've seen this and we're not going to be happy with it.
You've been watching UK Gold.
Yeah, UK Gold. Yeah.
Premier League Classic.
But yeah. So
yeah, it's obviously a sensitive subject, but the fact that you've got a player with so much ability, so much potential, and you throw it away like that. And look, the things that we saw on social media, obviously it's easy to jump on the bandwagon with social media when you see things, because obviously things can be photoshopped, edited, or whatever. But there were things there that you could say, crying out loud, man, for any club to take a punt on this lad after what he's done to her, and with the evidence from the audio, from the photographs and whatnot. Okay, you could say that most clubs will be stupid to take him back, but the fact is there are going to be clubs out there outside of Europe or even within Europe that would take a punt on him. There have been players that have done a lot worse, and a lot. Listen, I hate to do this, but I don't want to bring it up. But there's a player that plays in Cyprus that was convicted of raping a girl, and he did prison time, and he's still playing professional football. So it's not as if Greenwood will never find a club ever again, but I think it will be a club that doesn't really care too much about what people say, or do you get what I'm saying? I don't think.
The weird thing is, if he was crap, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
He'd be gone straight away.
Talented kid. Or no, it's all about money. But if he was crap, we wouldn't have this conversation. Be sacked, down the road. See you later.
I think there were signs there from early, though, weren't there? If you look at the Iceland game, where I think him and Foden got caught, whatever, messaging girls and blah blah blah, and the texts came out, and some of the language was vile. Some of them should have been pulled up there. I mean, if you look at Foden's trajectory and Greenwood's trajectory, totally different. And it seems like Foden's kind of cleared up. He's like more of a family man now, and Greenwood kind of continued in that behaviour. But Man United or England should have kind of pulled him up there and said, like, listen, buck up your ideas.
Wasn't he doing those balloons as well? Wasn't he doing
the problem with these young footballers, seeing it close hand, these young footballers, and they think they can talk to people and do what they fucking want, and they just can't. And some of them just need a proper good slapping, because they're just footballers, but sometimes the way they treat people, it's just
Let's get a bit ahead of themselves, don't they?
They get pampered and they think they can get away with anything. They just can't. And this one's obviously overstepped the map way, way, way too much, and it's a real issue.
Yeah.
But then that's where the club's got to kind of, install some discipline, and he's got to have the kind of support network around
How do you give someone discipline such £60,000 a week?
But then you got to maybe look at the family, At the end of the day, how you growing up, how your morals and values are. You're speaking to women like that. You're not going to have a great kind of childhood or
you can be brought up well and know what's right from wrong and still be a prick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just you can't. Everyone, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation because you got to pamper these people because you got to keep them happy. So it's a balancing act. But Ferguson never had an issue with it. Anyone steps out of line, it was boom, cold, proper stomp down on it, and you don't seem to have that anymore. So it's difficult.
Well, again, it's difficult because social media, all the stories leak out now. If you do anything, he could probably hide them away back in the day, but now you do one thing and it's out straight away.
Yeah. So if videos about in 25 years, I'd be in big trouble.
I think we all would.
Big trouble. Especially on my 21st birthday party in Trap 2. Big trouble.
Someone might be watching and trying to find the old CCTV.
There was watching. Look,
Fucking hell. Well, look, just one more thing on the whole Mason Greenwood thing, and this is the other thing that maybe you guys can clarify because I still don't know how this is going to work out. Man United said that they're going to help him find a new club. What does that even mean?
That means they're going to send him to somewhere that they want him to go. They're not going to send him to a rival, basically.
Yeah,
anyone.
It's more than that. It's mental health exit route. That the trauma that the lad is going through now, that they have made a decision that gets it to this point. If anything awkward happens to him, they cannot be accused that they've not helped him with an exit route.
Covering their tracks. Okay.
Well, they'll be believing that they're doing that genuinely. But there's a lot changed, I think, since lad's youth player at City or a schoolboy player who went on to commit suicide because he couldn't handle his release, apparently. They will be a duty of care. Let that's a sensible sentence. There's a duty of care with something so big going on and such a big organisation that they are doing their bit, as well as entries, they're doing their bit with exits.
Well, if Man United have a wellness officer, I'm sure he'll be working double overtime at the moment.
Well, they all have now, haven't they?
Crossing the T's and dotting the I's. Yeah. Phone calls. They won't be having home visits or anything like that. They'll just be covering the backs.
Yeah, Zoom calls and all of that.
Yeah.
It's is it really, are they really, is there passion behind it? Do they really want to help him, or is it, as we said, just lip service?
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Exactly.
Well, it goes back to
squeeze. Squeeze is never the juice.
Yeah.
Said the juice.
It goes back.
Loves that one. Where have you got that one from, Stes?
Top boy.
Say less. I never thought we'd have a Top Boy reference on this show. Honestly, I never thought we'd do.
There's a new one coming out this month.
September, mate.
September 16th. Great show. I have to admit, great show.
Yeah, it's very good.
I started watching Lucifer the other week, and I got bored after like the second series. I was like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Here's one for you tonight or tomorrow. Swamp Kings on Netflix.
Yeah,
get that watched. Yeah.
What's that about?
One of the untold. It's about the Florida Gators University in America.
Okay.
College team.
Okay. Lovely. Steve, any recommendations?
No, I'm I'm still match of the day, 10:25 Saturday night. That's all I'm still Coronation Street, mate. So don't worry about me.
He loves Kirk. You know that.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how's Kirk getting on?
Yeah, he loves Kirk.
Crikey, blimey. Well, boys, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Well,
We'll be
great
back
talking to you.
same time next week. Till next time.